Chia Amisola. I'll do a mix of an artist talk and a talk I'm testing, I guess. I'm going to speak about someone, and then I will mostly speak about myself and give kind of like a preview of many different projects. Almost anyone who loves video games, particularly esports, has heard of Faker, Lee Sang-hyuk. Many say Faker is the most popular video game professional of all time. This is a talk titled Faker as Religious Experience. There are times, as you watch this pro play, when the jaw drops and eyes protrude and sounds are made that bring your friends in from other rooms to see if you're okay, if they're not already watching with you. The moments are more intense if you've played enough League of Legends to understand the impossibility of what you just see him do. I will give a few examples. Chapter 1. 2017.
Together 100 esports
first,
pros
a bit about
to
him.
answer esports' biggest question, starting with
Who's the best gamer ever and why?
Oh, that's a good question. I think everyone agrees like the best gamer would be Faker from League of Legends.
Ooh, and I would say Faker.
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 Faker. Faker. Faker.
Faker.
Faker. I don't know much about League, but everybody I know just says he's the GOAT and League's the biggest game. Faker. 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 Faker.
The best gamer ever has to be the guy from League of Legends. I forgot his name. Faker. Yeah, that guy. That guy is good.
I'd say the best gamer ever is Faker. He plays arguably one of the hardest games and has dominated for longer than anyone has dominated in any other games.
So a few case examples. 2017, SKT versus EDG. Faker's team is red side, 10k gold down, 0 kills, losing rapidly. They force a fight. Coming in from the fog of war rapidly, Faker pulls a 4-man shockwave, turning the entire game around. Or 4k gold under in the 2022 semifinals against China's first seed JDG. A rapid flash prediction and an unstoppable wall. Another turnaround straight to the enemy base. It's a bit low res, but whoever is like beating up everyone's ass, that's Faker and team. Or in recent years, last year, 2024, a retreat turned flash in on Galio. His entrances securing the last of the 5-game series against BLG, the China first seed, earning Faker what was eventually his 5th World Championship trophy. Faker, at 29, is the best League of Legends player, the best competitive gamer alive, probably. In his 2013 debut, he won the World Championship. He faced years of benching, a fall from grace, and is now on a return to greatness. He's now on his 6th World Championship trophy. He is the best ever in this young field. Beauty is not the goal of competitive video games, but high-level esports are a prime venue for the expression of human beauty. The relation is roughly that of courage to war. The power and appeal of these plays, especially for the oblivious onlooker, is maybe not universal at all, at least compared to physical sports. This whole talk intro is a riff off David Foster Wallace's glazy Roger Federer as religious experience talk. So I'm like lifting a bunch of it. I had to read it in English class in college. So to you all, these might just be dizzying interfaces, flashing lights, dying worlds, irrelevant to you and your practice, but trust me, with time, solemn observation, and belief, a simple truth emerges. At least for me, I see the sacred in the screen, a cult that has surrounded him, a sense of greatness. In esports, there's little talk of beauty or grace or the body. Men profess their love of sports, cast and enacted in the symbology of war. technical analysis, mechanical prowess, what is the meta, gank, sieges, agency, autonomy for each role, balance, deceit, nationalist fervor. There's a whole like geopolitical layer here. Korea and China are the dominant regions in League. The West last won a championship in 2011, the first Worlds. But it's okay because G2 got into the semifinals this year. Good job, Europe. There's also, the technology conglomerate Tencent, which is a Chinese corporation, so ownership of Riot Games, which is largely headquartered in Los Angeles and also faces many sexual harassment cases. There's also the US Army's esports division, which, for anyone interested, 2 weeks ago announced tryouts. This is the top comment. War's codes are safer for most of us than Love's. But all I see when I watch League, when I watch Faker especially, is all we really have in this game, which is love, attention, endurance. This is Faker during a 2017 loss. The screen. One thing about League of Legends is that it's not much different watched in person versus online. I realize that I've watched Faker's career play out for more than half of my life now, and in it I see some mirror of my whole life. But this presentation is more about Chia, this me, the spectator Chia's experience of Faker, and what has become of me in watching. In other words, I'm talking a bit about Faker to tell you a bit about myself. For proof, I went on a vacation in America, maybe in, 2015, and I watched the NALCS. This is me with, I think, Team Liquid. So, yeah. So, I've been playing League since I was 12 years old. I think this is like an early screenshot of one of the games I played with a friend I found on Facebook somewhere. I played it in computer cafes after school. In summers, I'd play from, like 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. at the local cafe, unmoving, surrounded by my cousins and strangers. I peaked at Platinum in my early teenage years. I'm gonna start showing some of my pieces. This is a piece I made kind of inspired by the experience of computer shops, which are dying a bit more in the Philippines. Things are largely mobile now. There's no need for physical spaces dedicated to gaming. But here, I hold a 20 peso bill, a fraction of $1. I find my way in a dusty, decrepit computer cafe. I have a timer. 3 windows pop up. This is a piece called Game Chat Shop that I made. There's the game window, an all chat, me, myself, in this cafe. Crucifix next to sexy lady poster, next to piece of print and tarpaulin printing services. Playing in this game, the last day of an MMO, as you want nothing but to cherish time, fighting ads and bloat and distractions. The worlds in each of these windows blur into each other. Here I was thinking about the different scales of time I was experiencing in a game. There's a server all chat, a mess and flood of names around you. There is the physical space with your body's needs separate from where your heart lies, but the ads from the computer blur into the space. Small narratives unfold in this all chat. And the line between the offline and the online blurs, there has really never been a difference. It was a very embodied experience. It always is, being on the computer. I admired how much of myself gets connected to the world. I'm 25 now, and I live on the other side of the world, far from the Philippines. I design software in the day from home and spend hours watching Faker or people commenting over Faker. Something I've spent more time than League of Legends on is making websites. It is the only thing outside of League and long films that makes me feel for the screen. Something I felt even as a child. When I wasn't playing League, I was coding websites, trying to find the story of myself there. Maybe it's silly to attribute so much of my practice on screen to what I've learned from League, but a lot of it truly sums it up. desire, rage. I want to be seen. I want to be respected. I want to commune with other people. Patience, consistency, a sense of agency, an almost disgusting jealousy I felt for all these players who were just infinitely better than me, admiration, wanting to become more. Most of my work in my internet art practice begins with software and sites, dense and hypertextual, experience through performances, games, videos, or sites you might just spend hours and hours clicking through, and many more days returning to. When I tell people I make internet art, the initial idea is that I want to change the notion of what a website can be. Because what is a website today anyway? Is it just a thing to maintain? Is it something that feels dull? Something we've grown indifferent to in form and feel? It's something tiring, so unlike ourselves, so distant from the person making it. The web is not as inspiring as what it was. But I'm interested in the ambiences around us and our agencies, as in our relationship to our surroundings, our capacity to act in these environments, as in our potential to shape what a website can be, to make it feel more like a canvas, to make the internet something that feels more intimate, to be selfless, to make for no other reason than to put something out into the world, for more interdependence. What if we just didn't think of a website as one thing that answers to a million people? What if instead there were a million websites, each one handmade by a single person? What type of beauty can be expressed on a screen? How can creating a site, demarcating a space to become, inhabiting it, be a form of resistance? What worlds might emerge here? What stories can I tell only on screen? What of myself can I only realize on the screen? Every site feels important still. It feels like an act of resistance against an internet that is homogenizing, closing, compressing us. Maybe I'm also thinking about intimacy with others, my inescapable desire to be understood, to be seen. In League, I enter a game with 9 other real people in minutes. Faker plays for thousands in the arena, millions online, all from a single computer. How do I connect with the whole world? And of course, every site is just an asking to be loved. Over time, in these small worlds, maybe thousands will also encounter the work, read it, and change their way of seeing the web as a whole. And maybe that's the best way to see me. If I am read at least once, maybe, just maybe, all will be fine. Three years ago, I lived in San Francisco, 3 minutes down the block of the Chase Center, where the 2022 League of Legends Worlds Finals were played. In this one, Faker narrowly loses to the tournament underdog DRX. They play in the finals to Game 5. They go 2-3. He has gone 6 years without a title at this point. This one stings. He watches his teammate Chia cry. His whole team composed of rookies and people far younger than he is, who have not experienced what it is like to rise at all yet. Faker is far older. His role has shifted. A loss is no longer his alone. There was a moment where he was in this position back in 2017. I worked my first full-time tech job on a time limit in America. I have no idea how long I'll stay. I decide to make sites the only thing I know, something that I'm at least sure will never be taken away from me. Maybe I begin to have delusions of more, that I want to be prolific, that I want to have, in whatever you can make of this field, a career that is prolific. I begin writing these many disjointed, fragmented stories in code. I translate memories, mine or otherwise. The work I make begins taking kind of this consistent quality. Always it seeks a need to escape the tab, arrest the user's whole machine, resist an easy viewing or legibility. They tend to blur into each other, unfolding over hours, days. There's no single experience here. I want it to be as complicated as browsing. I fragment myself against an internet that seeks to compress me. Slowly, in this small practicing, I understand that the screen is no longer mine alone, that the web, making for the web, telling on the web, being on the web has always been inherently communal. It always has been, of course. I'm showing examples of some of my work, which are all viewable online as sites or videos. Some unfold as generative systems, but mostly they always begin with linear narratives that I kind of code and write and try to poem out in the IDE. I think that a website is a constructed world. I'm desperate to make so many of them. What I mean by that kind of lofty statement is, I aspire for a web that feels like you can live through it. I like the complexity of constructing the stories, logics, and containers. I do it selfishly, maybe, at the core. I feel like my totality can only be approximated through this making, something that is so plural, so filling. This is a piece I made for the Internet Archive to celebrate its trillionth webpage archive. They're all assets and words scraped from their database. Maybe all I want to do is to make something and never have to touch it again. Maybe because I want work that is extended upon by others, that makes itself something that can remake itself endlessly. The poetry is never really good, but always disgustingly earnest, consistent, long, dense. It's all I can offer at this point. I want a site that reads itself. I want to be the reader that becomes the author. Anyway, some say this. It is more likely that League of Legends will disappear as an esport before anyone gets close to anything that Faker has accomplished. People warn that League is doomed without Faker. Others say that Faker himself, due to his overwhelming dominance, is killing League of Legends, at least the esports side of it. Whenever I work on websites, I kind of have to deal with the fact that I'm working on an ephemeral medium, that no matter how I want to treat the site as a sculpture, it will always be a momentary thing. A website, a decade from now, past or future, will look very different. When I do creative work on the internet, I wonder what part I take in killing it. Playing with technologies at the edge of obsolescence, always seeking to revealing its limits, fighting with the defaults and systems entrusted to us. A lot of my work dances with a sense of friction, of ceilings, exploits, security, how manufactured they all are. How can I make the internet and show that it is a thing that can be made and unmade and made again? Perhaps anyone who loves a craft enough takes part in killing it. It's such a fragile thing to make web art. Maybe I am also going to outlast a medium. What do I take after? For the work to last, I've been playing with performance, video, sound over the past couple of years. I mix this interest in what I see of ambient or experimental music performance, of controller, building, poetry, games culture, always seeking to make a show out of the work. I hope to reveal how embodied the work is in process. Make spaces that are almost holy or sacred in feel, where it might be consumed jointly in this intense, durational manner that demands our attention, our body, our time, not something easy, something that requires work, something that requires all of us. An extreme example of one of those that I did was I did this performance about October last year at Culture Hub around the East Village, where I did a 6-hour durational performance where that was basically my Rosary fanfiction hypertext, where I took the Rosary's mysteries and made these like kind of long narrative pieces where I was thinking about it instead from Mary's perspective, considering the feminine nature of machines, of Filipino Marian devotion, and all of this, and what it means to really give a body to the work when the web feels so fleeting often. Maybe I'm just interested in general in how I endure, so my work does. Maybe this is my main inquiry. Speed, precision, reflex, and technical prowess are merely the skeleton of work on screen, not its flesh. Even esports knows this. Today's advancements only exacerbate that. I find interesting what Faker demonstrates: a game knowledge, a maturity, a macro knowledge, an attention to everyone else, consistency, innovation, endurance. I admire the larger figure he has become. I find it inspiring. I want to walk towards infinity too.
Jinx and a Tom Kench versus a team of Baron. You've seen this before. The charm flashed away by Yumayushi. Faker looking to get in from the back of the pit. Frozen Tomb available for him. RNG calling T1's bluff. And Faker finds them all. Yumayushi, Carrier, and Faker will not go quietly into the night. Form is temporary. Faker is forever. Oh my.
People who play, even if they don't construct the game itself, shape all that we know. I find that I'm on the internet, an environment shaped for me, shaped to demand specific behaviors. Here, I'm on the internet resisting it. I'm reciting, breaking, glitching, reading, stuttering, lagging. All these gestures and acts of play and breaking of the machines, hoping to eventually remake the environment itself as well. I hope I always play on the internet, no matter how futile or constrained things seem. My name is Lee Sang-hyuk. My American fans call me God. My Korean fans know me as the unkillable Demon King. I actually prefer God because it feels just a little bit higher. This is an article Faker wrote a few years ago. Faker is 29 years old. It is the prime age for many esports. The peak age for many esports pros is around maybe like 21 to 25. That's when your reaction time is best. Many retire by the age 26, 27. They head to mandatory military service, to coach other teams, to disappear from years and years of constant spotlight and pressure and criticism, or they go become product managers. Form is temporary, Faker is forever. I also prefer to be called God because it implies a love, an intimacy, a fear, and a sanctity for the things I put on screen. I know no better place to contest what we consider as beautiful but the screen. Of course, I make websites as a way of making myself. When I make and perform these sites, I always re-encounter myself. Moving between desktops, between stories I wrote years ago that I might find something new in. I open several works at once, blurring the lines between them. I maintain the work. They live so that someone else might become a reader who becomes the author. I want to make work designed for both one individual, alone playing in the dark, or for the me who plays and performs for thousands. I make for the grandiose aspirations towards totality, one that can only be achieved with others, of me being understood, loved. The screen is my most intimate medium. I learned this from playing, from watching, to which I understand pain, duration, hardship. The screen is the subject entangled and intertwined out of everything else I love. The screen is where I am most connected to my body, not disconnected from it. I always wonder, what stories will we tell about ourselves on the internet in this endless play? What narratives can become of us on screen? I want to see if I'll still be in my 30s, hoping to climb the Grandmaster, carrying something decades on. What I want to do with my whole life is believe in this essence of play, of endurance, to take the silly things so seriously, to build and read another internet hiding behind this one, to maybe take part in killing it, to make an unpredictable future. Like many of us have accepted the ubiquity of the screen, of networked life, but not many of us have allowed ourselves yet to be vulnerable to intimacy, to beauty, to grit, to the sacred here, to the many lives and careers and industries already devoted to the screen's play. not in a negative manner, not in technological destruction of it, but in working within these boundaries and these confines to make something beautiful, to inspire thousands, millions, to the making of gods here. Even if the medium I play on will eventually die out, maybe there's something here. What is the web? How am I entangled within it? Between presence and absence, between text and world. In many ways, this was just a talk about everything I love. This is also my domain if you're interested in my work. It's about Faker, it is about sites, it is about elasting a medium, it is about an aspiration towards infinity, to finding more around the sanctity of the screen. Thank you.
Let's give it up one more time for Chia Amisola. It's a real honor to have created a space where a talk like that happens. That was really, there he is. Wow, gamer feelings. Gamer feelings rise up. This has been WordHack, everyone. Thanks so much for coming. Give it up for all our presenters. We're here the third Thursday of every month. Next one will be January 15th. We have a newsletter where I send out one newsletter a month that kind of tells you when the next one is, what the lineup's going to be, and gives you a recording of the last one. So if you want to get on that, it's on the event page. Hope we'll see you again. And if you think you might have something you could show on the open projector in the future, maybe think about that for next time or the time after. Thanks again to Wonderville and to all our presenters. And that's all I have for you. Good evening.